So for this video, I want to cover the 1.5-inch lift kit from Rough Country that I had installed a week ago. I also want to cover the Yakima roof rack that I put on the Bronco Sport a week ago, as well as some storage ideas for those of you who have maybe done what I've done, moved from a larger vehicle down to the Bronco Sport. Storage is a precious commodity in the Bronco Sport. So I'll show you some ideas that I kind of came up with, and I actually have some future ideas of how to build a bed in the back of it for sleeping inside of it. And then finally, at the end, I want to do just a little short segment of, with this new lift kit on it, going up taking on one of the obstacles that I did in my last video. So to begin with, I want to do a shout out to Horn Freedom Ford in Safford, Arizona. They're the ones who I bought the Bronco Sport from, and they are also the ones who installed my lift kit. They gave me a great deal on my trade-in for my 4Runner, and they gave me a great deal for the Bronco Sport. As for the lift kit, they had me, or allowed me, to buy the lift kit separate, bring it into them, and then bring in the Bronco Sport, and they installed the lift kit, which is kind of a rare thing to have happen these days. After it was installed, the next day I began to hear some clunking underneath the front end of the vehicle, and I wasn't sure what it is, so I drove it straight into Horn Freedom Ford, and the mechanic quickly crawled underneath there, and he said, yeah, it looks like the bolts, or these ball joints that attach the sway bar, have worked themselves a little loose, and it was part of the lift kit. So he got down there and tightened them up and put Loctite on them. So just if you're doing it yourself or having someone else install your 1.5-inch lift kit from Rough Country, definitely put Loctite on it. The other thing that they had mentioned is that the ball joints, the bolts, aren't quite big enough for the holes that kind of were supplied in the lift kit for Rough Country, and I'll get out and show what those look like in just a minute. So what I decided to do is I went and bought 4 wrenches just to have in the back of the Bronco Sport, just in case those nuts ever work loose again. So you'll want 4 of them. They're all metric: 14 millimeter, 15 millimeter, 18 millimeter, and a 19 millimeter. So with that, I'll get out, give you a little view of what the Bronco Sport looks like now with its 1.5-inch lift, and also where those joints, or where those nuts and bolts are at, that sometimes may need your attention. Maybe not in the future. It just depends on how it's done, I guess. If you put Loctite on it from the beginning, you might be all right. Okay, so here's what the Bronco Sport Big Bend Edition looks like once it has the 1.5-inch lift kit put on it. Not a huge drastic change, but it is enough that it does create a little better approach, departure, and breakover. Those angles do increase, and I actually got underneath here and measured at its very lowest point. If I can hobble over here and do this right. This is the lowest point, just in front of the rear tire. It is 9 inches from the ground to the bottom of the Bronco. So it does definitely take that up to a point where it actually almost matches the lowest point that was on my 4Runner. Obviously that lowest point is under the differentials on a solid axle vehicle, or at least a vehicle that has a solid axle in the rear and IFS in the front, like the 4Runner had. Okay, hopefully you can hear me over the motor, which is a really quiet motor, but these are the bolts that worked loose while shortly, the next day after I had the lift kit installed. There's also another one right down here at this ball joint. So this one takes the 15 millimeter on the back side of it. You put the 14 millimeter. This is the 19, or no, the 18, and then the 19's in the back. Same thing down there, 14 and 15. Anyway, since I've tightened them up the last time, they have not given me any trouble, or since Horn tightened them up, they haven't given me any trouble. All right, working around to the back of the Bronco Sport, looking at some storage options. So this is what I came up with. Now, my Bronco Sport came with one of these platforms. The platform is actually pretty cool. You turn a dial right here and a dial on the other side right here. And when you turn those dials, you can actually pull this whole platform out, and it comes out another 12 inches-ish. And then there's legs that come out from underneath, and it turns into a table. Kind of a neat little, add-on, I guess. Now, for storage underneath, here's what I did. I went over to Home Depot and bought some of these boxes that come with those yellow lids on them. And what I did is I took the lid off, and once you do that, there's these little nubs on the box that hold the lid in place. And I just got a little saw and cut them off, and then doctored them up with a razor blade. But once you do that, when you have your rubber floor mat in, the box will actually slide perfectly underneath. And I'm trying to remember what size these boxes are. Let's turn it around and see. So it is the Home Depot Tough Tote, the 7-gallon size. And with that, you can actually get, I don't have the third one here in the middle, but you can actually get 3 of them side by side across the back, and they slide right underneath. They don't interfere with this table coming down, and it gives you just an extra place to store things so they don't slide around. So, hopefully maybe that might be a little help to somebody out there who's looking for some storage ideas. Next, the Yakima roof rack. So for the Bronco Sport, if you're going to go with the Yakima, you need the Timberline risers. And then I just got the standard crossbars. These are the 60-inch bars. There's part of me that kind of regrets not spending the extra couple $100 and getting the heavy duty bars or the HD bars. Just in case I wanted to do a rooftop tent, you would want to have the HD bars instead of these. These will only tolerate 165 pounds, I believe, where the HD bars absolutely can handle the weight of a rooftop tent and people on top of it. Now, really quick, I wanted to just give a little short video of where I'm at. This is kind of a unique place here in Arizona. The locals call this Red Knolls. You kind of feel like you're somewhere on the surface of Mars. It is quite an interesting looking place. So what I'm going to do, this is where I did one of the last little video shots before of where the Bronco Sport was driving up this right here. I'm also going to tackle this here in this next video. This is with the lift kit on, sand mode, taking on that one of those last obstacles that I did in the last video. And hopefully the side camera will pick this up. I'm able to attack it a little differently because they have a lot more ground clearance. And you can hear the tires slipping and spinning. But I'm able to be a little more brave with how I go after it. This is the angle going from the other direction, and hopefully both cameras will depict what's going on. A little more confident in how I approach these obstacles with the lift kit. Like I said, better approach, better departure. And there we go. This hill, I did not attempt it before I did the lift kit. I knew that the breakover was quite steep, or sharp, let me put it that way. And so I waited until I got the lift kit put on. So here we go with this. And dropping over the other side. There's another little shot of going through another little obstacle, a little wash here. Before the lift kit, this would rub on the nose of the Bronco just a little bit. And now, no rubbing on front or rear. So that's definitely a good sign and an improvement. Here's the view going from the opposite direction. There's a steep little incline there. Okay, and then one final wash crossing that I did not want to attempt until I had the lift kit put on. I think I would have scraped the nose had I not had the lift kit on there for that crossing. As I turn around, I'll give you just some last final thoughts concerning the lift kit and the roof rack. I haven't noticed a great deal of change in how it handles on road. Maybe just a little less or a little more top heavy feeling with the lift kit. And between the two, I think I've noticed about a mile per gallon difference. I've lost about a mile per gallon. So, you know, be aware of that if you're not wanting to lose any gas mileage, then you probably might not want to add the lift kit, and you might not want to add a roof rack or crossbars. One last thing, thanks for watching, and if you have any comments, suggestions, please put them in the comments. I love suggestions. I don't mind being critiqued or criticized, so fire away, have fun with it, and see you next time.